Hi, I'm Michael. I'm with Ultimate Kitchen, and in this video I'm going to show you how to install your new kitchen sink faucet. Now, depending on the model that you purchased, you're going to get different looking faucets, but the installation is basically the same. What you're going to need to make this installation work are just three tools: Phillips screwdriver, crescent wrench, and a pair of channel lock pliers. Now, if you have regular pliers or two crescent wrenches, that'll work also, but this is what I'm using because this is what we have. So it's just like any other home, use what you have. If you have different wrenches, they'll still work, but you will need a Phillips screwdriver. And that's it. This is really simple, it's user friendly, and it takes all of about 10 minutes. In your box, you're going to have a couple things. You're going to have the faucet and some hardware installation stuff and a few O-rings. The first O-ring you're going to use, let's say your faucet looks something like this. The first big black O-ring is going to go through and come right up the tube, and you're going to want to seat it right here at the base. This is going to give you a nice tight seal on your countertop. That's the first step you take, is putting that O-ring on. After that, work the rubber washer. After that, you're going to want to put both of your water lines in. Now, these are double O-ring, which is really good for not just installation, but to keep the water from leaking. But you're going to notice that they have different colored stripes in them. Blue is for cold, red is for hot. So, first thing you do is just hand screw them in. You don't want to get these too tight. What we're going to do is we're going to screw them in hand tight first. A nice cinch on it, and that's on both. Then you're going to take your crescent wrench and you're going to give it a 1/4 turn after that. You don't need to tighten it any more than a 1/4 turn, so get a good snug hand tight on it. Get your crescent wrench in there, give another 1/4 turn, and that's it. So now your hardware should look like this. At this point, you're going to go through and you're going to grab these three parts. You have two washers, one's plastic, one is steel, and this brass mounting nut. The brass mounting nut has 2 screws in it. This is a really good hardware mount that you'll appreciate once we get started. The reason is you don't have to, when you're fishing up from underneath the backside of your counter, tighten down the mounting hardware with a wrench. You're going to do it with the Phillips screwdriver. I'll show you in a minute. So now that we have our black rubber washer in there, just stick it through our hole, right down like that. And you're squared away. Now, you can mount this a number of different ways. You can have the handle here, you can have it in the front, or you can have it on this side. It really doesn't matter for the operation of your faucet. It's completely up to you what you want to do. For now, just hold on to it and keep it upright. If you have someone helping you, it's a lot easier. Now what we do is we get the rubber washer and you feed it through. This is going to go on the back side of the countertop. So if this is going on stone or some other type of material, it's not going to crack it. Then the steel feeds in just the same. You don't have to move the 3/8 nuts around just so this can get through. This requires a little finessing with all these tubes here to get this through, and it's going to take a minute. Don't get frustrated with it, but just move some stuff around. Some of these tubes bend a little. Don't let them bother you. They're supposed to. And just kind of finesse your way through. It can be a little bit of a bugger. Don't be bothered by that. And now you've got 2 pieces up. The last piece is the brass nut. Now, you're going to want to screw the nuts in, or we're going to screw the screws in a little bit, because when you're spinning it, they might fall down. So, flat side goes up. So put the flat side facing you. Bring it up here like this. Again, you're going to want to put one of these nuts in at a time. And again, this is going to take a little finessing. Don't let that bother you. It can be a little frustrating when you're laying on your back doing this. I totally get that. But that's just how a faucet goes in. This is the most difficult part of the installation, and it's not that it's difficult, it just takes a little bit of work. Remember, these pipes do bend a little, so just get it finessed in there. And it's in. Then, all you have to do is thread it up. That's going to take a while to screw this in, but it's not a big deal. Just keep screwing it with your hand and get it hand tightened. This piece here is called an all thread, and it's going to be about 8 to 10 centimeters long. The reason why we have it that long is because there's a lot of different depths for different counters installations. And we wanted to make sure that if you have a really thick granite countertop, that you were covered. So I've got it hand tightened, no more than that. Once it's hand tightened, you can move this around and get the handle exactly the way you want it. Once you've got it there, all you have to do from there, and this is where you're going to thank me, is you don't have to get a wrench all the way up inside here, lay it on your back. Just got to get a Phillips screwdriver. And then from there, just tighten the screws until this is really solid, and you're almost done. Next, you get a small little O-ring. It's about 1/16 of an inch wide, and this is going to go in your water line right here. So what you're going to do is you're going to grab this piece here, and it's bendable. It's got this little sliding nut on it, and just pull it out just a little so you get some room to work with. And put the O-ring here on top here. Feed it up there, and hand tighten the loose nut here until you have it hand tight. Once it's hand tight, this is a little complicated, but not really. You're going to use 2 of your wrenches. I recommend a wrench on the bottom. This we'll call our back wrench. We're just going to hold this tight. We're going to tighten with the top one. Remember, it's righty-tighty, lefty-loosey if you're upside down. And just half turn, and you're done. You don't want to over-tighten it, because if you do, you're going to crimp this and you're going to create a leak, and you don't want that. So, you're almost done. All that's left to do at this point is to get these 2 compression fittings in on your water supply. Remember, red is hot, blue is cold. And now we need to put the weight on. Okay, now, the way to install this is really simple, but you got to get it right. You got your halves like this, so just set this aside. The placement is important. This needs to have constant force pulling it down so that this just won't dangle. You want it to seat when you're done using it. The way you do that is to keep constant weight on this line. A mistake a lot of people make is they put the weight right at the bottom curve, and that does you no good. You want constant weight on this line, constant tension. So where you want your weight is you want it right here. So put it right there, and then pivot, and now your weight's right above the curve, just like that. Move it up maybe 1/2 inch, and take the first screw that's still there, that acted as your pivot, and just screw it in pretty good. Get your other screw, turn it around, and put it in that way. You don't have to over tighten this, it just needs to be snug so the weight doesn't move. So don't crank it down or anything, just make sure that it's tight enough to where it doesn't slip on the line. Now, pull down, it pops back up, and that's how this works. The weight is what brings it back up each time. So if you get the weight right above the curve, it's going to work really well for you. And that's all there is to it. Now, a couple things. One is, we have different models, and I want to make sure that this video covers all the different models we have. Now, there are different models. Most of the models that we sell are either pull-down models, old-fashioned models, or these nice pot fillers, okay? Now, for the models that don't have pull-downs, this is even easier. What you're going to find is an all-thread, and you're going to find that just 2 holes right in here. Don't be confused or frustrated by that. Your hot line always goes on the left, because this is where your hot is. So here's your valve for hot. If you open that, you're opening this tube right here on the left. So take your hot line and feed it in on the left. Not a big deal. If you're having a hard time screwing this in, that's because the weight of this might be flipping the thread a bit. Hold it upright and screw it in this way. And that way it'll thread easier. That's really the only difference. After you've done that, installation is really simple. Slide this up. You see there's a notch right here. That allows you to screw the all thread up to a stopping point. Just cinch it down with your hand. Then installation is the same. You've got the same brass threaded nut that's going to be used as your mounting hardware, and the process is identical to what we just accomplished. It's just going to be a lot easier because you don't have the pull down to mess with. One last item is our water supply line. What we've given you is a 24-inch water supply line, which should be plenty for your installation needs. If you need a little extra longer, this is a 3/8 compression fitting. You'll need to go to the hardware store and get a little extension valve. That way you screw it on here. You screw another one on here, and that will extend it for you. Beyond that, we've given you everything you need to have an easy and frustration-free installation. If you have any questions, go ahead and read our installation manual again. Read it over a couple times, maybe watch this video a couple times. But if you have any questions beyond that, go ahead and send an email to support@ultimate-kitchen.com, and we'll do what we can to help you out. Thanks so much.